Ah, greetings, B-movie aficionados.
All right, hello and welcome to Couple of Flicks. I am Tristan.
I am Nick.
And I'm Zach.
So today we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite films of the decade. So, would you like to go first?
Sure. All right, this is a hard one.
Yeah.
Because they're just, I don't know. I threw together a whole big list, and I'm just going to randomly pick them out, I guess. But I think I'm just going to go with my fifth one is Interstellar. Even though I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it too, actually. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one yet.
Oh, no, you didn't?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just thought it, like I cried, like the whole, the Matthew McConaughey, the meme, that crying meme picture that's all over the internet. That scene made me bawl like a little bitch. I was like, oh my, because do you know what the background of that scene is at all, or?
I don't think so.
So basically the plot of the movie is they're trying to find more energy or something. I forget exactly, but the Earth is dying and they're trying to find a new place to live. And Matthew McConaughey is searching out like 3 new planets that they could possibly inhabit. And one of them, like science, something to do with gravity makes, you know how gravity makes time dilate of some sort. So the first planet they go to, they fuck up, and they're there for an hour when they're supposed to be there for like 5 minutes or something. And then instead of like it being like, I don't know, a year or so that was going to pass, 20 years pass while they were on one planet for an hour. And he goes up and he sees 20 years of his daughter that he left behind. And it's like a montage of his daughter growing up. And he was only gone for an hour. But he sees her like from a child to an adult. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like McConaughey plays that. Like that crying thing is just like, it broke my heart when I saw it. And like, it is memed. But I still think that it's just one of like the best scenes.
Yeah. Like
emotional scenes out of the decade. Even if like the whole movie itself wasn't like all that great or cohesive, like there's plot holes they say, but I was science fiction, so I can overlook some of these kind of like time travel plot holes and shit. But the emotional resonance of that film like was deep, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's the kind of film that doesn't weigh itself down with the techno jargon and all that stuff. And some people like to pretend that Christopher Nolan does that, but he really doesn't. I mean, for me, like both this and Inception were perfectly easy to follow. I don't know why everybody finds them so confusing, So, and this was, I liked, I didn't feel confused by any of it. I thought it was well written. I thought it was well directed. It's a little slow at first, I suppose. Maybe it may not necessarily be the type of movie that like everybody can get into necessarily, but that's kind of true of any outer space movie. I mean, generally speaking, outer space films are just not for everybody. I mean, I know people who can't stand even something that's as well made as like The Martian or Gravity or anything or things like that.
I didn't like Gravity.
I liked Gravity, but there was one thing I didn't like about it, but I'll talk about that another day, but I love outer space movies, and Interstellar I loved. So
nice.
Yeah.
I'll check it out at some point.
It's a good Nolan movie.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'd say, by the way, do you have a favorite Christopher Nolan film?
I'd probably say The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah. I really like his first 2 films, Following and Memento.
I like Memento a lot.
Yeah. I highly recommend Following.
I think I've seen it, but I'm not sure. I know it's a black and white one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's really well done. But Memento's great too. And I also really like Dunkirk a lot too, actually. That was very technically well done.
I didn't get to see that one.
Yeah.
I wanted to, but
Yeah, it's good. It's worth watching. Should I go next, or do you want to go? You can go, I guess.
All right. My number 5 is Mad Max Fury Road.
That almost was
That's
on
a
my
great
top
one,
5.
yeah. I thought about it too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so close, but yeah. So do you want to like elaborate on why, or? I mean, pretty much everybody loves this movie, but yeah,
Yeah, just the way it was made, like very little special effects and all that.
Yeah, that's great.
And there's like, I don't know, post-apocalyptic movies like that don't come around very often, like that are that good.
yeah. It was actually, I mean, it's outstanding. It's definitely like one of like, and it's not often, yeah, like you said, it's not often that films like that tend to, I think that like, I mean, of course there's stuff like Terminator 2 and so, that people and Die Hard, but I feel like Mad Max Fury Road, and like, in my opinion, it's probably like the ultimate example of like a post-apocalyptic picture is an action movie that's that good. I mean, yeah.
Yep.
And also the director coming from like Happy Feet and stuff
Oh yeah.
to
Yeah.
doing that. I also found that funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, George Miller. Hey, yeah, there's another Miller. Yeah, no, good choices. My number 5, I'm gonna go with an animated movie, which, by the way, just because this is in my top 5 doesn't necessarily I recommend it to everybody, because I know that most people probably wouldn't be able to stand this movie. But Anomalisa, which part of the reason it's on my top 5 is because I felt really bad for putting Adaptation on the list of films that I hated, because I love Charlie Kaufman and I think that he's a brilliant writer and a brilliant director. And this is a film that he co-directed with oh gosh, now I'm not remembering his name. Well, okay, but anyway, it's an animated movie, but it uses stop motion and puppetry, and it's a kind of a dark comedy, but it's a much more nuanced film. It's very psychological. It's the kind of film that is a little bit enigmatic. A lot of it doesn't really make a tremendous amount of sense, but I was so emotionally with this movie. I love it. I would recommend it, but just don't expect to like it, I guess is what I'd say. Like, if you are going to watch it for the animation technique.
I mean, I like Kaufman.
Yeah.
I know of that movie and I didn't want to watch it, but now I'm interested.
Yeah. Even a lot of fans of his work didn't like it. So, but I thought it was amazing, so.
So number 4 for me. I'm gonna go with the Grand Budapest Hotel. Just because Wes Anderson, one of my favorite directors, and I think that I'd have to say that's probably my favorite film of his.
It's hard to choose.
It's really hard to choose. I like his early shit like Bottle Rocket 2 and Rushmore a lot.
Yeah.
But
Bottle Rocket,
that's his newer stuff, I think. Yeah. Budapest Hotel is his better ones of the newer ones he's made, even though they're all fantastic.
Bottle Rocket, that's a movie that's really grown on me, I gotta say. I didn't used to like it, but yeah.
I thought it was hilarious when I first saw it.
Yeah. I watched it probably just because I think the first time I watched it, it was on Comedy Central. I think I was expecting it to be like a certain kind of movie. I didn't think it was going to be like a lot more of its own kind of thing. So I think when I first saw it, I was sort of like just kind of bewildered by it, but I've seen it again since, and yeah, that is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I definitely saw parts of it on Comedy Central, but I never watched it until I went through like a Wes Anderson kick. I was just going through all of them, and I hit like more of his, Darling Limited is actually my favorite, but I hit some of his the newer ones, and then I went back to Bottle Rocket and Rushmore.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I just love Bottle Rocket. I was like, Owen Wilson is just fucking hilarious in that one.
Darjeeling Limited is a really underrated one.
Yeah, no one. That's like people's least favorite,
Yeah.
but it's mine.
Yeah, that one and Moonrise Kingdom. A lot of people don't like those ones, but I love both of them.
Darjeeling's my second favorite of his. Life Aquatic's my favorite movie, like period. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And
Good
also,
choice.
Grand Budapest was on my list. It was at number 1.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Yeah.
So I'll just do that for my next one, I guess.
Oops.
Hey,
It's
these
all
Great movie.
yeah. We should say, by the way, these lists aren't final. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
cool. So Grand Budapest Hotel for both of you.
Yeah.
My fourth favorite film of the year is a coming of age film.
Decade or this year?
Or I mean of the decade. I mean, sorry, not of the year, of the decade. It's a coming of age film, which I tend to like a lot of those.
I love those.
Yeah. And there's been some good ones that have come out this decade. I really like this it's one that was made last year. It's a really weird one. It's called We the Animals, which I think is on Netflix, but I'm not sure. But I saw that one in the theater as well. And I say as well because last time I was talking about how I saw Marriage Story in the theater, even though that's on Netflix. But yeah, that one I saw in the theater as well. And it's a really weird one. There's a lot of, it doesn't really have a plot. It's pretty much just about like this family that's like kind of, they're impoverished, and it's pretty odd. As it goes along, it gets pretty violent and surreal. It's probably not really everyone's kind of film. But it reminded me a lot of movies like Tree of Life and like Beasts of the Southern Wild and Moonlight and stuff like that. It's just kind of dreamlike and the odd kind of soundtrack, odd quality. I tend to like weirder types of films like that. And yeah, that one really was moving to me. I thought I'd recommend that one. So.
Well, speaking of coming of age, this isn't my next one. Or I was thinking of putting it on the list though. The Way Back.
Yeah, I
love
love The Way
that
Back.
movie.
Yeah, that's
I
a
watched
fantastic
it
movie.
Multiple times, and I usually don't even do that for those kind of movies, but I did watch it like within like a weekend a few times. It was that good.
Yeah, Way Back is great. And that's Sam Rockwell is such a great actor.
Oh, I love him.
Oh my gosh.
Moon.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Moon is great. Yeah. The director of Moon, I think he also did that Source Code movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, which I actually not everybody liked that one, but I actually think that one's kind of underrated. I like that. But then he did Mute, and yeah, that one wasn't good. He also did the World of Warcraft movie as well.
Oh, the Way Back guy did the World of Warcraft.
Oh no, the guy who directed Moon. It's David Bowie's son, but I can't remember what his name is for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not remembering names lately.
So the World of Warcraft, I'm a huge WoW player, as
Yeah.
I've mentioned before. I don't know what they have a good story in that,
Yeah.
and Blizzard makes fantastic animations.
Yeah.
Why did they go live action at all? This is just a tangent. Blizzard should have just made their own movie with their actual story they laid out that makes sense.
Yeah.
And made them awesome. Their pre-rendered CGs is just like fucking above any gaming company really out there today.
Yeah.
Like even back in the day of like Diablo and shit and StarCraft 1 and everything, their in-game cinematics were like astounding. Why didn't they just make a CG movie?
I mean, if you want me to be honest, Blizzard has been, not all of their choices in the past 5 or 10 years have been that good.
Oh, since they got acquired by Activision.
Yeah,
It's been shit.
yeah,
It's been a shit show. But
bit of a shit show.
money.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm glad to know that you saw the movie Warcraft though, because I didn't, and
I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay, never mind.
Because I was going. Well, I mean, if I could see it for free somehow, if it's ever on Netflix or something. But
Yeah.
like, just because I'm a huge fan and I know that it's dumb, I
Yeah.
didn't watch it. I know what it was gonna be. I didn't have to watch it to watch it.
Yeah, you can scratch that one off the list.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it. But
Yeah.
if I can find it for free.
Okay.
What number are we on?
Well, I just gave my number 4 choice.
Okay. And both our
and-
4s were Budapest.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Should I go with 3 then?
Yes.
Let's see. I will do. I'm gonna go with for 3. Parasite. Yeah,
All right. I still haven't seen that.
it's so, like 2019 was a good year for movies. I feel.
Yeah, agreed.
And honestly, as far as movies go, like as far as technicals go, like I think that's near perfect of a movie.
Mhm.
Like if you want to like get technical with it, I can't really see much wrong with it.
Yeah.
Like I was tempted to put it at number 1, but I was like, it's new enough that I don't know, might
Yeah.
need to test some time. But like, it was just like very, very good.
Yeah.
Like unbelievably good from like a Korean director too. I'm not saying like not I don't know racism or anything, but like the Hollywood isn't necessarily well established outside of Hollywood.
Yeah.
So an actual foreign film making a Hollywood like movie.
Yeah.
But it was just a good movie. It's fucking crazy how
Yeah.
good it was.
And I mean, he's made films for Hollywood before. I mean, he did
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer.
That's my least favorite of
Yeah.
his too, and it's the most Hollywood.
Yeah, and Snowpiercer, I do like Snowpiercer, but it's not as good as the films that he did in his native country.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's fine as a movie,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah, I have some qualms with Snowpiercer that admittedly they mostly have to do with the fact that I'm familiar with the source material that it's based on, but like if I just kind of take that aspect out of it, like I still have some issues with like the last third of that movie. It's kind of when it
Yeah.
starts falling apart for
So
me.
there was also some points in that movie where I forget how I watched it, but I know that there were no subtitles for the character, the Korean characters.
Yeah.
So when they were like somehow I got a version without any subtitles, so I was a little confused honestly at the last act if like there were subtitles or was there just talking in Korean like that
I
last.
think it was because there was multiple things going on at the end. So, and I think they were cutting back to those characters and then the main character
Yeah.
and then the stuff that was going on in the train, like on the rest of the train and what was happening with the people there. And like there was, I mean, so much happens in the last like 20 minutes of that movie.
But
And
was there
they,
subtitles?
I think so. Yeah.
Because they were talking like
Yeah.
normal, and I had no idea what the Korean actor was saying at all.
Yeah.
And it kind of got me confused. And it was within like when they got to like the engine room and shit, so I
Yeah.
was missing a big chunk just because of the
Oh.
version I watched too, I
That's-
believe.
That's frustrating. Yeah. And there's a lot of people with like different accents in that movie too. So it's
Yeah.
like not exactly an easy film to follow dialogue wise. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Parasite. Yeah, I definitely would like to see that
Oh,
one.
you got it. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm stoked. And also like when it like because I to bring up the marriage story, because now I'm kind of having a lot of thoughts about like movies about families and like how families try to survive and stuff like that. And so a movie like Parasite, like that subject matter kind of I don't know, that's something I'm really interested in right now. So
Yeah, and you should definitely check that out.
yeah. So now I think it's your choice.
Yeah, we're on 3.
Yeah.
All right. My number 3 was Get Out. I know we've talked about it on lists before, but
I was
I
going
just
to
really-
mention that one probably too.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Get Out was really that good. I mean,
it was amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the few movies that were hyped up that actually lived up to the hype for me.
Yeah, yep,
Same.
definitely.
Same. And it's also one of those movies that, and I think I said this last time, but I think it bears repeating that it really does benefit from a rewatch. Like if even if you didn't really necessarily like it the first time, which we all loved it, but even if you're the type of person who watched it the first time and didn't really like it, it still is worth rewatching because there is a lot of things that are kind of there that you don't necessarily absorb upon one view, and you're not really meant to absorb it on one viewing. There's things that you kind of recognize to a greater capacity in hindsight. So then when you rewatch it and you know like kind of where it's leading, it actually makes it a lot more interesting and compelling. And yeah, it really gives the film, kind of a life of its own, I think. So
I only saw it in theaters the one time.
yeah, I think Jordan Peele, like he really struck something like strong with that one.
Yeah.
So.
Can't wait for his movies.
Yeah, I just want him to keep making horror movies. I don't even care if they're good or not. I just want him to keep making them. So.
He said he's not doing anything other than horror for a while. Apparently,
it's a good idea.
Yeah.
He's good at that. So Us, it wasn't a perfect movie, but it was still a lot better than like a lot of horror movies that typically tend to come out.
Better than most.
Yeah, agreed. So.
Did you ever see the video of him like answering fan theories about Get Out?
No, I didn't.
No.
You should check that out. It's really good.
Yeah, I will. I like. Yeah, Get Out has something pretty powerful to say. So, but yeah, I'll look for that. So, my number three choice is it's a controversial choice. I probably won't talk too much about it. It's called The Act of Killing. It's a documentary. I know that some people don't really think that this film should even exist. I'm sure there's probably some people who would think that I'm a scumbag for even having it on my top 5, but I really think that films should, like, I do feel like filmmakers should be very brave, and I think that that's probably one of the bravest films I've ever seen. And there's a sequel to it called The Look of Silence, which in some ways is even better, but so actually maybe this is a tie with for both The Act of Killing and The Look of Silence. But I would highly recommend both of those films, even if the subject matter doesn't really like interest you. I think one can learn a lot about human nature by watching documentaries in which the subjects are not good people. That's all I'm gonna say.
Is that did Draft House do that one?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who put it out, but
Okay. I know I've heard of it, but
yeah, it's it was pretty controversial when it came out, and and it definitely deserved to be, but I don't know. It was very brave, and when you look at one of the more interesting things about it, in my opinion, kind of looking back on it, because as you're watching it, you're kind of like realizing, wow, this is a movie where these people are admitting to committing some of the most atrocious sort of actions against other people. But then you get to the credits list, and most of the people in the list are anonymous. They're just listed as anonymous, and or John Doe or Jane Doe or whatever. So the film doesn't really give you a tremendous amount of closure. It's, kind of a disheartening experience, but I think it's also a very educational experience, both of them actually. So, and just to kind of summarize, I mean, basically we're talking about a movie in which the people who are making it are interviewing and genociders. So
how do they do?
Yeah. Anyway, I won't go on, but
it sounds interesting.
It is interesting. I think I would recommend it personally. So.
All right. Okay, number 2. You might have this one, Zach, because we mentioned it on the other one, but it was Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, that was my number 2.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I am just like, I've been a Buffy fan and Angel fan. Drew Goddard, directed it, and Joss Whedon helped. Did he help write it or just produce it?
Well, I know he wrote
Right.
it.
He wrote. Okay, yeah. So I'm just a huge Joss Whedon fan.
Yeah, he probably would have directed it if he wasn't too busy directing the Avengers that year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I hear that's one of the reasons, because it was delayed a fuck ton of time, like for a few years. It was done all final cut and everything,
Yeah.
but it was still delayed a couple of years, I think, because Joss was making the Avengers movies.
Yeah, that was a lot. And I get the impression also that the people who produced it, like, they didn't really quite know how to market it exactly. Like, I think they weren't really sure, because I don't know, studios, when it comes to like horror movies and stuff, they're still kind of clueless. They don't really know what horror fans will necessarily want to go and see.
In original movies too, they're just like, what is this shit?
Exactly.
Give me a sequel now.
Yeah. Yeah. They would have rather he'd written the remake of Evil Dead, probably. So.
Right. But I just, so good. Because, as a horror fan, it just hits all those tropes, and it makes, gives plot to them, and the underground scenes were just amazing. The Fishman, fucking.
So many Easter eggs everywhere too.
Yeah.
I also, it's worth mentioning that I mean, personally, I don't know about you guys, but I actually personally found the film to be genuinely kind of scary at a few different points. I get scared pretty easily when it comes to films in general. When it comes to horror movies, I'm a lightweight, but I still like them. And I like that this is a movie that is quality, that is actually entertaining, and has characters that you like, and is well written, and it also happens to be scary.
Yeah, there was, when the hillbilly whatever zombies started coming, that was about the scariest part, but I wasn't too scared throughout most of it, because it was what it was. Yeah. And I loved the stoner character, Marty, or whatever his name was. He was the best.
Yeah.
I loved his bong.
I like that he ended up.
It was funny because once that movie came out, like people on the internet were like, "How the fuck do I get one of those?" and like Joss Whedon came out and said, "That was just a prototype type thing, and it doesn't even work. That costed us $5,000 to make."
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure there are working ones out now, but like when that movie first hit, like people were wanting it, and he was like, "It costed us $5,000 to make a movie prop." So.
Yeah. Like I said when we were talking about it on the other podcast, we were super stoned when we saw that movie. So like the stoner being the hero was, you were like,
yeah.
Well, it's
so good. Like the marijuana was affecting the drugs they were giving him. It was like, yeah, it's not, because that is an effect with marijuana. I've heard that it, can inhibit other drugs. So it actually made sense that it was not working with those poisons that the lab was using. It was fucking funny as shit.
I appreciated the subversiveness of having him be a character that ends up being more important than you expect. I really appreciated that. That was cool.
Yep, and his off-camera death, of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that same year they had Cabin in the Woods Haunted House at Halloween Horror Nights.
Nice.
So I got to like walk through the elevator scene and shit. It was awesome.
Damn, that would have been sweet to go to.
That. Yeah. My choice. What was my? Oh, I remember. My number 2 choice is it's called Amour. It's a French film that was made by an Austrian filmmaker called Michael Haneke, who is currently my favorite filmmaker. And it's a very, very, very sad movie about a man who has to take care of his wife after she has a massive stroke. And the title is a translation of the word love. And I would probably call it among the greatest love stories I've seen. But it's definitely a tearjerker. Damn. But that's my number 2 choice. I love that movie, And if I were to maybe whittle this the list of the best films I've seen this decade down to one, it's not my favorite film of the decade, but I'd say out of all the films I've seen, it's probably the most well made. And I highly recommend that one if you haven't watched it yet. So.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
What else did that director do? That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he did The White Ribbon. He did Cachet. He did Funny Games.
Okay, that's
So that's a
what I
remake
heard.
of Funny Games, or
Both the original
Both.
and the remake. Yeah,
Oh, I do. Okay, yeah.
yeah, and they're
I know
both.
it was like shot for shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the same movie basically. Yeah,
I liked the American one.
yeah.
I didn't see. Actually, maybe I did see both. Honestly,
Yeah.
just because I thought it was interesting they made two of the same movie.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting cinematic experiment to like
Yeah.
make one movie and then make literally the exact same movie but with different actors. you
I
know?
like Michael Pitt a lot too. That
he was yeah
he was great in Boardwalk Empire.
yeah, he's a great actor. And I actually haven't seen him in much lately.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in
No.
almost anything
Yeah.
after Boardwalk Empire and that movie really.
Yeah,
But I thought he was great.
yeah, he was scary in that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's right now he's like pretty much my favorite filmmaker. So
Okay. Shot for shot remake Psycho, huh?
you know, I will admit that was also I found that interesting. But I wouldn't say it's preferable to the original. I mean,
No.
it's kind of unusual that they would cast Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, that was
As-
the weirdest thing.
But anyway.
All right. Are we on number one now?
Yes.
All right. So I fucked up my list, but I'll go with.
You could choose an honorable mention.
Okay, my
If you
num.
Or you could go with whatever.
I'll do number one right now as. Neither of you probably have either of these on it. I'll do. I just saw it recently.
Hmm.
No. I'll go with Coherence as my number one because I saw it a while ago and it had a lot more time to resonate. I'd
Hmm.
say than my other one I was gonna put up there.
Yeah.
But have you heard of Coherence?
I have. I really, really want to see that one. I haven't yet though.
It's mine.
Yeah.
Like, and it's one of those that is not. It's like it gets better with rewatches. But you
Yeah.
can rewatch it a dozen times, and it's like something you'll watch. Pick out something new every single time. It's. Do you know at all how it was made or anything about the plot or?
Well, I remember reading about it when it came out, and I remember writing the name down, and I think I may have even purchased it, but I haven't watched it yet. I remember thinking that it sounded like totally like my kind of movie though, and that, like the making of it was really interesting.
Oh yeah, it's mind bending. It's a sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's like, but the movie was done real cheap in the producer/director's own house
Mm.
over a weekend, and it's all like improv,
Yeah.
and and it's like a mystery as well.
Yeah.
So every day, I guess or every kind of breaks, the actors were just given cue cards of what they were supposed to bring up in a conversation.
Okay.
Something that's gonna happen that only like their character would know about.
Yeah.
And just the fact, and then because it's just like a sci-fi that just gets crazy and like crazy shit just starts happening, and certain people know certain things, and you're like, why the fuck is this happening? And then it all just blows up into this crazy web of just I don't want to like get too spoily, but it is sci-fi. There's
Yeah.
like dimensional stuff, and it's just like mind-blowingly good. And you're just like on the second rewatch, you're just grinning from ear to ear
Yeah.
because you know what's happening, and then you see all the little pieces falling together the second time, whereas the first time you're like, what the fuck is going on? And at the end you understand what happened, but then when you rewatch it, you know what's happening from the beginning, and then you see why all this shit's happened. It's just awesome.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I can't recommend it enough. It's like an incredible film.
When it comes to intelligent science fiction films that kind
Yeah.
of require more from you,
And
I like a lot of those.
I love how it was made too, because it's like they said like the director was like kind of in corners, just like huddled up with the camera, because it was just the director being the cameraman too.
Yeah.
And I just like how like it was all improv.
Yeah.
The actors were in the dark about what was going on in the movie,
Okay.
which made sense because it's a mystery kind of thing, and
Yeah.
everyone was in the dark, and it was just crazy how it was made and how good it came out for being improv too, because The dialogue actually felt real natural.
Yeah.
Like you could tell it wasn't scripted, but it still wasn't like cheesy improv shit. It was,
Yeah.
it kind of felt like, because it was a gathering of people having a dinner party
Yeah.
when this event happens, and you could say, oh, these guys, yeah, you could see them being all friends. And that was one thing that before I even like looked it up, I was like, oh, this is really well made. Like the dialogue's natural. It feels cool. And then I looked it up and it was like fucking all improv. And I was like, oh shit, really?
Oh,
That's
man.
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. Coherence.
Did you ever see Primer?
No, yeah, I saw it once. I did not get it.
Yeah, that's a film that you can eke a lot of substance out of that one if you're willing to dig. But it's definitely, yeah. I didn't get it the first time I watched it. I didn't actually get it the second or third time I watched it either.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to understand it more. Like it's yeah. I think I know what happened in Primer now. So I think.
Haven't seen either one of those. So.
Yeah, the director of Primer did that Upstream Color movie, and I saw that one too. And yeah, that one kind of the same thing happened when I watched. Like, I just went right over my head. And it's like, okay, that's one I'm gonna have to, sit on and watch again at some point. And I haven't yet, but I'm sure like the more I watch that, it's probably gonna start sort of Some movies you just have to kind of rewatch and gain more of the substance from it. So.
Right. Well, my number one was Grand Budapest. My number two was Cabin in the Woods. So this is technically my number three.
Right.
It was Django Unchained.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I had that up there too. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love Quentin Tarantino and I love Westerns, and it was just really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I definitely really love Django Unchained. Yeah. I think the one and I feel like I'm like, maybe I'm the only one who kind of, because I haven't met anybody else who feels this way, but I felt like it was a little bit the editing was a little different from Tarantino's other films that he had made, but then I realized that his editor had passed away, I guess. Like the one Sally Mankey, yeah, she'd passed away before Django Unchained had been made. So, and I remember like when I watched Django Unchained, it felt different for me from his other films.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But having said that, I'm sure if I watched it again, it wouldn't even bother me. But I just remember the first time watching it thinking like, this feels a little different,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love that movie.
Yeah. I hope he releases an extended version. Apparently it was supposed to be like 5 hours long.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
but when he put the words on the screen, that was like a whole like couple hours long. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna put that up on my list, but I wanted to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood before I put a Tarantino movie on the list. So,
Yeah.
Still haven't seen that either.
yeah,
It's
I
great. I love it. I love that movie. It's definitely his slowest film. Definitely his slowest film, but in a good way, in my opinion. Like the characters are compelling enough, and that because it's very character. It's him in Jackie Brown mode basically. Which I don't know if either of you have seen that one, but
Yeah.
yeah. It's definitely character driven. Not so much like about like the plot or whatever. But I really loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood though. So.
Comes out on Blu-ray on Tuesday.
Oh.
Do watch it. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna grab that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, like, yeah, they had really good chemistry in that. My number one choice is The Kid with the Bike. It's one of those movies that I didn't really know what it was when I watched it. I hadn't seen the direct. It's a brother. A couple brothers had made it. I can't remember what their names were. I hadn't seen any of their other films. I still haven't. I definitely want to after watching this one. It's one of those movies that I didn't know what it was. I watched it and I felt very transported. The whole time I was watching it, I didn't know what direction it was going to go in. I didn't know what was going to happen next. It was about it. The subject matter was something that I cared about. The characters were all unique and interesting. They all, had different qualities to them that made them memorable, but you didn't really quite know exactly where they were going to go or what they were going to do, or how it was going to figure into the plot. It was suspenseful. It was charming. It was very moving. When I think back of like films that were distinctly well done that came out this decade, that one is like the first one that comes to mind. So I highly recommend that one, The Kid with the Bike. That's my number one choice of favorite film of the decade. So, yeah.
Okay. Kid with
I'll add it to my list.
Yeah. It's about real things too. It's about some things that actually happen, So,
Yeah.
and I always like films that have a certain degree of reality to them. I like films that just are about real issues. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah. So, any of you guys have any honorable mentions or anything?
The one I was gonna put as number one. So I was originally gonna put Birdman as number one, just because I just love long shots.
Birdman's really good too.
And that was like a quote unquote long shot movie.
Yeah.
But I loved how it was like made. It just looked really sweet, just all one seeming continuous shot.
Yeah.
But instead, I scratched that, and I mentioned it the last time we recorded, which was One Cut of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna put that as my number one, but instead I went with Coherence, just because I've seen Coherence a bunch, and I've seen the One Cut of the Dead once a couple weeks ago, and it's crazy good. Like,
yeah, I put that one on my list.
Oh, you have to watch it soon. It's so good.
I definitely will.
It's somewhat hard. It's on that Shudder.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it. I had to sign up for Amazon and get the Shudder.
Yeah.
Watch it through that, but it's a Japanese film. I don't remember how much. I don't know how much you remember. I told you, but it was
quick bit.
Yeah, the first 30 minutes is a one shot of a zombie film, basically.
Yeah.
And it is one shot. It isn't there's no hidden cuts or anything like that. So it's
hence the title One Cut, right?
Yeah. And then after that, it just goes insanely. It's really hard to explain with it. As film fans, you'd appreciate the hell out of it.
Most definitely. Yeah. I really want to see that one.
Yeah, it's so good.
Let's see. Some of my honorable mentions. For example, I guess I liked there's the movie Blind Spotting. Have you guys either you seen that?
I've been wanting to see that. It's
really
good.
Yeah, that one was that almost made my top 5. I loved that one. Exit Through the Gift Shop.
Was that in this decade?
I think so. Let me just double check. Yeah, 2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was. I love that one. That was good.
It's this Turkish film called Mustang, which I really loved. I'd highly recommend that one. I can't help but notice my top 5. All of them are very sad films, so I'm trying to find more upbeat kind of things. Exit Through the Gift, I guess that counts. The Handmaiden, I really liked. The Shoplifters, a couple Korean movies. A Separation, which is an Iranian film. What are some American films that I liked?
For Pixar.
Yeah.
I'll say Coco was their best of the decade.
Yeah. Coco was so good.
I didn't get the hype for Inside Out, honestly.
Yeah.
I thought it was okay, but I thought Coco was very underhyped, and not many people talk about it or anything. But I thought it was one of their best ones they've made.
I would say, my top 3 are probably. You mentioned Ratatouille. I like that
That's
one.
My favorite. Yeah.
My favorite's probably WALL-E, and then Ratatouille, and then Coco. I think those are my top 3.
Yeah.
So, I liked let's see, Son of Saul. Have either you seen that one?
I think I might have.
Yeah.
I don't think
It
so.
sounds real.
It's a war
familiar.
film.
Hmm. Is it like Middle Eastern war film?
It's well, it's a little hard to describe.
The
It's
name
ki-
sounds familiar.
Yeah, I like that one. The Embrace of Embrace of the Serpent. I really like that one too. I like the music in it. Like, anyway, go on.
I was gonna say one of my honorable mentions was Nightcrawler, Jake Gyllenhaal.
It was one of mine
That's
too.
good. Yeah, he really wanted the Oscar for that role too, and he didn't even get a nomination.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper, had to get it that year for some reason when American Sniper, which I didn't really understand why he got nominated for that, because nobody even talked about his performance in that film until after he got nominated. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Anyway, I guess,
Haven't-
but
Never even saw that. So.
I mean, it's a Clint Eastwood. I liked it, but it's
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's one of his best or anything.
I know you guys don't like Marvel as much as I do, but Infinity War, that was one of my honorable mentions.
Did you like that more than Endgame?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I did too. Actually, I liked Endgame, but I think I liked Infinity War more. The main thing that kind of bummed me out about Endgame was like some of the CGI, like the scene where oh my god, why can't I remember names? Oh, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, when he showed up and he was kind of all like, he had the beard and everything.
The Big Lebowski.
Yeah. He was in Big Lebowski mode. Like, that was funny, but
Yeah.
like, did you guys notice that his head kind of didn't match his body a little bit? Like,
Yeah, he still had like the thin neck. They didn't really add anything to the neck.
yeah, it looked really weird. It made his head look really tiny.
I liked, as far as comic books, Logan a lot. I would have to say that.
Yeah.
Logan, I like that more than the Deadpool movies.
Yeah, me too,
Actually,
definitely.
yeah, Logan was really good actually.
And I'm a huge X-Men fan too. So
Yeah. As far as Superman movie or superhero movies go, I think my favorite of the decade was Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another really good animated film. Another animated film I like that I actually thought was really underrated was Kubo and the Two Strings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I heard that was really good.
it is good. Have you seen that? Or-
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think that one's really. I think it's underrated actually. That's one of my favorites, definitely.
Yep. I also had Green Room. Like we already talked about that, but
Green Room, that was good. Yeah.
Sorry to Bother You.
Oh yeah, that was. I really liked that one a lot actually, and I saw it with a bunch of people who hated it. Like after when we left it, like everybody was talking crap about it, and I didn't say anything because I actually loved it. I was so into that. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Which one? I do.
It's Sorry to Bother You.
Was that? I remember the name. I think I saw it even possibly.
Sort of dystopian.
Yeah.
Kind of like another because a lot of sort of films that year kind of came out that were sort of exploring civil rights issues, like If Beale Street Could Talk and Blind Spotting, and I guess Black Panther was the one that was really popular, but and Green Book and stuff like that. But I'd say Sorry to Bother You, out of all those films, that one, in my opinion, was probably the most interesting.
Okay, that's how I remember.
So-
I didn't check it.
Yeah. He's like the guy that's at a telemarketing place.
Mm.
Works his way up by using his white voice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was great. Yeah. Let's see. Do we have any others?
Oh, I also have. What?
I liked Edge of Tomorrow a lot.
Oh yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Sci-fi action.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Yeah. That was really good. I like most of these are foreign films. Ida, The Hunt, Roma. I mean, those are three I really loved. That all three of those almost made my top 5. But Yeah. Anything else?
Whiplash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you've seen that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said in the chat, like I seriously thought you guys were talking about Whippet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Helen Page does
Yeah.
roller derby.
Yeah, I got a text and zoned out for just a split second and thought you guys were talking about something else. But yeah, I really loved Whiplash.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I definitely am gonna watch that one again for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Ex Machina. That's a great one too.
Ex Machina was really good. Did you like Annihilation?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to see it,
Yeah.
but then I heard it was bad, so I didn't.
Yeah, some people really love that one. I
I
didn't.
heard there was like one cool scene about
Yeah.
something about a bear, and then
Yeah.
that's all I heard. There was some crazy
Um,
cool scene about a bear, and then the rest of the movie sucked.
That was kind of cool, actually. Yeah, I didn't really like it that much. I thought I was gonna like it. I usually like weird movies like that, but and actually, and normally this isn't ordinarily a deal breaker, but honestly, like the CGI in it, like was, in my opinion, terrible. It just totally took me out of it, and that's really kind of what killed it for me. And like when I compare that to like Ex Machina, which looks amazing and really refined and stuff, it just doesn't. It just fell way short for me. I'm gonna probably give it another chance at some point, like maybe in 10 years or so, because a lot of people I know like consider that really underrated and misunderstood and stuff. But I wasn't super into that one for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah. Personally, I know a lot of people thought it was really long and boring, but personally, I really love The Revenant.
I loved that one.
I like that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I thought that was a beautiful film, and I thought and I really loved how DiCaprio basically just got beaten up for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You know, and then
Won an Oscar for it.
Yeah, and then the next year, Casey Affleck was in Manchester by the Sea, where he barely even moved. He like sits down the entire movie, and he
Doesn't he,
barely
like,
even
mumble a
talks.
lot
And,
and
yeah,
shit?
and he gets the Oscar the following year after
Yeah.
DiCaprio almost kills himself the year before.
Yeah.
That's funny. Let's see. What other movies came out this decade that were really good? Can you think of any more?
Did you see Nebraska?
Yes,
Yeah.
I loved
saw
Nebraska.
that one.
that was great. Probably my favorite Alexander Payne movie. I don't know, that or Election. I can't decide. But Sideways is good too.
The Witch.
Oh yeah, The Witch is great.
Yeah.
And Black Coat's Daughter, I really love too. I still haven't seen Lighthouse,
No, me neither.
but
Yeah, me neither.
but yeah, The Witch was
Pretty
it
much
was
like
definitely my kind of movie. So.
pretty much anything that like A24 puts out, it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're generally pretty high quality. Like, they were the ones that did the guy who directed It Comes at Night, which I know not most people didn't like. And then Waves, which came out recently or is about to come out, and I want to see that one. But he did a movie called Krisha, which that one I really loved. Maybe that would be in my favorites of the decade. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one more, but it's another bleak one though.
Which one was that?
It's the one about it was made before It Comes at Night. It was kind of it's sort of like his thesis film, I think it might have been. It was it's the one about the family, and there's that one member who like she had some alcohol problems and some domestic violence issues before, and she's kind of trying to stay clean, and so she moves. So then she goes to this Thanksgiving dinner with this whole family of people of hers, like her family, who everybody in her family is basically setting her off like constantly, and so it's almost like her walking into just a giant like pool of piranhas almost. It's from her perspective, and it's really it's intense. Most of the movie is pretty much shot like either like she's pretty much on screen, kind of like how Jennifer Lawrence was in Mother. It's sort of like how this is as well. Pretty much the entire time she's or most of the movie she's on screen, or it's from her perspective, or there's like a lot of close-ups and stuff, and so it's very psychological. But that one I liked a lot. It used to be on Netflix, but I don't know if it is anymore.
Huh. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
And Mother's another good one to add to the
Yeah.
list.
I never saw it.
It's pretty messed up.
That's what
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, it's Jennifer Lawrence. If you like Jennifer Lawrence's face, then that is your movie, because I mean that's pretty much like it's he kind of went back to his old school style that he had at Darren Aronofsky when he made Pi and Requiem for a Dream, where he uses a lot of close-ups of the characters and the camera kind of following their face around and stuff. He does that with Jennifer Lawrence in this movie a lot, except it's with a 16 millimeter camera, I think it is, which was an interesting way to film it. Like the technical aspects of that movie were definitely odd, but
Yeah. Did you see how they built the house and everything?
no.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like it was in a big warehouse, and like they built parts of it for the end scene. They built parts of it for. It was cool.
That's
It's on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I have the Blu-ray, so I should probably check that out. But yeah, that's definitely an interesting movie. But
Yeah, it gets crazy.
yeah, extremely uncomfortable to sit through. You know, just the sound design and everything. The sound design's probably the worst aspect of it, actually. Like just because it's just directionally speaking, like I don't know. That movie kind of made me sort of feel dizzy, actually. So,
Yeah, especially towards the end.
yeah, Ooh, man. But yeah, that's a good movie though. So, but not everybody liked it. And again, I totally get it. I mean, it's hard to like a movie where you're watching Jennifer Lawrence's face for 2 hours, you know. So, but anyway, so yeah, I can't really think of anything else to say off the top of my head. I mean, I think I don't know. Moonlight was good.
It's another
12 Years a
A24 one.
Slave. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, A24. That was one of my favorites. That one won Best Picture, so everybody loves that one. Although they messed it up at the ceremony by announcing La La Land instead.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny, actually. You guys won Best Picture. And then 12 Years a Slave, which I know most people didn't watch, but I like that one a lot too. And the director, Steve McQueen, I don't like all of his movies. I liked Hunger, but I didn't really like Widows as much as I thought I was going to. Honestly, it just kind of seems silly to me. And then I didn't really like Shame all that much either, but I should probably rewatch that one at some point. So, but anyway, that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could keep going on if we keep picking stuff out.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't. Yeah. All right. Well, not quite Christmas yet, but will be soon. So I'm still not going to say Merry Christmas, but getting closer.
Yeah.
And although there are some other holidays kind of around this point, you know. So got Hanukkah and stuff. So happy holidays, I guess, in that way. But yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good night. Stay warm and stay safe.